Good morning, everybody. Today we are going to explain the tutorial part 2. So I am going to explain the Unit 6. The Unit 6 is about troubles while traveling. So common troubles hazards are in the air travel, unexpected check baggage fees, carry-on luggage fees. On the other hand, car travel, we have flat fare, mechanical breakdowns, and parking tickets. And finally, other travel hazards, we have poor air conditioning or hailing, delay, unexpected bus or train delays. The next, please. Vocabulary travel nouns. For example, we have check baggage fees, carry-on luggage, and overhead bin. The next, please. A missed connection, security screening, a breakdown, a flat tire, a parking ticket. The next, please. About the grammar, we have unreal conditional sentence continuous form. In the present unreal conditional sentence, we use were or weren't plus a present participle in the clause, and also we use would be or wouldn't be plus a present participle in the result clause. For example, if I were walking in the traffic, I wouldn't be talking on my cell phone. The next, past and real condition sentence. We use had been or hadn't been plus a present participle in the clause, and also use would have been or wouldn't have been plus a present participle in the result clause. For example, if I hadn't been checking my messages, I wouldn't have known the flight was delayed. And unreal conditional statements with if it weren't for, if it hadn't been for. To express regret, an example is if it weren't for the traffic, we would be at the airport by now. And to express relief, an example is if it hadn't been for your help this morning, we would have missed the train.
We're going to continue with Unit 7, Mind over Matter. In this unit, we're going to study some expressions like "Don't get me wrong," "I may be imagining things," "If I were in your shoes," "The cat's out the bag," "What's on your mind?" "Giving mind." Next, please. As a grammar point, we have nouns, indefinite, definite, unique, and generic meaning. A or an for an indefinite noun because it doesn't refer to a specific person, place, thing, or idea. As example, we have I work in a factory in New York. We use a because we are not specifying in which factory I work. The for an definite noun, it refers to a specific person, place, thing, or idea. For example, I saw a movie last night. The movie was a documentary. Next, please. A, an, or the for a generic sense. Generic sense is used to represent all members of a class or group of people, places, or things. There is no difference in meaning. For example, a cat is a popular domestic pet in many countries of the world. In this sentence, we can also use the cat is or cats are because we are not talking about a specific cat. Next, please. Indirect speech, it plus a passive reporting verb. This structure is used to report a generalized statement or belief. The verb in the noun clause reflects the tense of the reporting verb. For example, it was believed that the storm would be terrible. Before the election, it had been asserted that very few people would come out to vote. Next, please. Finally, in this unit, we have expressions with mind. Make up one's mind, that means to make a decision. Change one's mind, that means to change your idea or your decision about something. Put something out of one's mind, that means stop thinking about something. Be all in one's mind, that means that you are only imagining things. And finally, be out of one's mind, that means that someone is acting in a crazy way. Thanks.
Let's continue with Unit 8, that is performing at your best. As idioms, we have out of the blue, put your nose to the grindstone, it's now or never, goes in one ear and out the other, gut feeling, I can't help it. To learn new vocabulary, we have be good with one's hand, be mechanically inclined, have a head for figures, have an ear for music, have an eye for detail, have a good intuitive sense, have a way with words, have a way with people, and have a knack for learning language. As grammar, we have using auxiliary do for emphasize stress. To emphatic stress to an affirmative statement in the simple present or past tense, we need to use do or did before the base form of the verb. As examples, we have even if I don't have a head for figures, I do have a way with words. He did like most of his college, but he didn't like his boss. Be careful when we use a base form after a form of the auxiliary do. As example, we have she has an eye for detail, she does have an eye for detail, and we don't need to say not she does has. So let's continue with suggest ways to boost intelligence. In the subjunctive, we need to use subjunctive form of a verb in a noun clause that follows a verb or adjectives or urgency, obligatory, or adversability. The subjunctive form of the verb is the same as the base form and doesn't change, no matter what the subject of the clause is. Use not before the verb of the negative. As example, we have, she insisted that we be at the office at 3 o'clock. Then, in the passive form of the subjunctive is be plus the past participle. As example, we have, they suggested that my mother not be given an EQ test. Finally, we have the continuous form of the subjunctive is be plus the present participle. It's crucial that they be waiting outside the room after the interview. Then, let's learn some adjectives that describe aspects of intelligence. We have talented, perceptive or observant, inventing or imaginative, witty, curious or inquisitive, open mind, and persistent. As a final point, we have a cause and result. We need to use cause. We do to as a result of, because of, and as a consequence of. And when we want to express result, we need to use as a result of, as a consequence, or consequently, and therefore.
Okay, I am going to talk about Unit 9. In the grammar, we can find the passive voice, the future as seen from the past, and the future perfect. First, passive voice statements about the future. The structure is will be or be going to be plus a past participle. Another is passive voice statements about the future as seen from the past. The structure is will be or was or were depending of the subject, plus going to be and plus participle. Finally, passive voice statements in the future perfect. The structure is will have been or be going to have been plus a past participle. Next, please. Also, we can find some idioms and expressions that are very important, like is catching on before you know it, come to think of it, it isn't a question of if but when, and the bad outweighs the good, and so on. Next, please. Also, we can find vocabulary. The topic is innovative technologies. About remote surgery, it is an operation performed by a robot. Also, cloning, that is the act of creating an identical copy of human brain. Nanotechnology, that is the science and engineering of working at the molecular level to build very small devices. Also, computer chip implants, electronic chips placed under the skin of people or animals so they can be positively identified. Also, we have a virtual reality that is a computer-generated simulation of an image or environment that a person can interact with as if they were real. Also, artificial intelligence, that is the ability of a machine to imitate human intelligence. And also, finally, genetic engineering, that is the practice of changing the structure of the genes of plants or animals for specific purposes. Also, we can find other vocabulary that is very important. That the topic is describing social and demographical trends. Demographic, it is about the all information about people who live in a particular area. Also, rate, that is the number of times that something happens. Also, statistic, that is a collection of number which represents facts or measurements. And finally, trends, that is a general tendency in a way that a situation is changing or developing.
Okay, for the last unit, unit number 10, interconnected world. Here we have idioms and vocabulary. For the idioms, on defense, it's bad and all that. I feel out the water, be pulling my leg, I lost in barrel. How do you like that? Money sucks. For the vocabulary, we have bring about, carry out, come down with, come up with, go without, lie off, put up with, run off, and wipe out. Next. Here we have a grammar section, a separability of transitive phrasal verbs. Here we have two main important, separable and inseparable. For the first one, the object noun can generally comes after or before the particle of separable phrasal verb. For example, check out their website or check their website out. For the other one, separable, a direct object noun or pronoun always comes after the particle of an inseparable phrasal verb. For example, they cater to younger consumers. Next, please. For this section, we have a vocabulary about globalization. Here we have some words. For example, globalization, sports, investment, infrastructure, prosperity, and outsource. Next. And for the last part, we have writing. Here we have a writing model, and it's important to consider. Here we have three important parts. The first one is introductory paragraph. Here explain the issue and summarize the opposite of point of view. Also, here include a thesis statement, stating your own opinion. Second one is supporting paragraph. Here states one aspect of the point of view that you are rebutting. Also, here use details and examples to support the ideas. And the last one is concluding paragraph. Here summarize the point of view. Thank you.